In today's video, we're going behind the scenes so that I can show you how exactly I make Lightboard videos and what my studio looks like. I've gotten several comments from people asking if I could do this video and show some behind the scenes and also my trick of how I write backwards. So that's what we're doing today. You'll notice that on most of my videos, I have a topic or a title always written so that people can see a thumbnail of my video and know exactly what I'm going to be covering. You'll notice that these are always super bright, and that's because I use chalk pens in order to make it really stand out. The problem with chalk pens is that they don't erase easily. So I have to use special cleaner, and it kind of makes a mess to get this off the board. So I don't recommend, if you're writing a lot, to use these, but they're helpful just for making your title stand out. You'll notice that I do all of my math in Expo markers, and really I look for dark colors that are going to show up against the white background. Okay, let's go behind the scenes and I'll show you what the studio looks like. All right, here's a picture of the room that I record in. I'll give you a 360 view in just a minute, but I want you to notice just a couple of things. First of all, I've got these lights here. Actually, I have 6 to be exact. I kind of wish I had 7, but these lights, I'll share with you where I bought them on. They were on Amazon and they cost a couple $100. I bought a couple of different light kits. You're gonna need that. You're also gonna notice that behind my light board here is this giant frame with a white sheet, and that white sheet allows you to be able to see what I write. One of the trickiest things about using a light board is the lighting, just because you're dealing with glass. So if you're not careful, your lights are going to reflect off your glass, which you'll notice exactly where I've positioned them, how it's sort of strategic and comes over the top of the light board and then on the sides of it as well. Here's the back side of the light board. You'll notice that when I'm writing, I'm actually writing so that I can read it on this direction. It's actually a flip in post-production that causes it to look like I'm writing backwards, when in all reality, I am right-handed and I am writing just like I normally would as well. I stand here and talk towards the camera so that you can see what I'm writing on the other side. However, notice that there is a piece of glass between me and the camera, which would normally be over there. If you're wanting to make your own light board and you're like, where do I get that glass? Is it special? It's actually nothing special. This was a piece of glass that my neighbor had on the side of their yard, and they were using it on a coffee table. It had sat there for years. You can notice it's pretty thick if you look on the side there. And so we decided to build the frame around it. I'm going to show you some pictures here of my dad, and he is an engineer. You've probably heard me talk about him before in other videos. He's an engineer and was able to make this awesome frame to hold the glass. And then you'll also notice that we spray painted it black. That was just to help with any glares and things like that, and to make it look a little more seamless, just in case it came into any of the videos, which normally you can't see the frame that holds it. You can see on this side that I'm pretty well lit from the lights all around. If I had to do it differently, I would love one light here on the bottom left to just kind of light that up just a little bit more, but that's hard to see from the video. So this is what the backside looks like. You'll notice here that I have this big white sheet that is the backing for my light board here as well. Also, fun fact, my light board is on rollers so that I can move it if need be. Okay, I'm back behind the glass. You'll also notice that I always have a microphone. This is because if I didn't have a microphone, even though my video camera has a microphone, my voice would be muffled because I am talking with this sheet of glass in front of me. See if you can see my hand. There you go. So there is a sheet of glass there, which is why you have to be mic'd. I like to choose a corded mic. I did try a cordless mic. However, with a cordless mic, you run into the issue of batteries running out in the middle of a video, which can be super frustrating if you're in the middle of a long video. You'll also notice that I stand pretty close to the glass, and that's just so that I stay lighted, versus if I go back here, you could still see me, and obviously then I'd have to walk towards the glass as well. So I usually stay pretty close to the glass. And that's also something you have to get used to, is hearing your voice kind of bounce off the glass as you make the video. The other thing you have to be careful of, and you've seen a couple of my videos where I do this, I'm getting better at it, is making sure you don't walk in front of your writing. So if I'm standing in front of my writing, then it looks like this. And it's really hard to see what I've written because I'm standing right in front of it. So you'll notice that I stand to the side so that you can easily see that, which leads me to my next point of you're going to want to make sure on your Lightboard that you mark off your areas that you shouldn't write on. So that's trickier and easier said than done and takes some planning unless your equipment doesn't move, which unfortunately mine does. I just use a normal microfiber that's really messy to erase my Expo marker. You can see my board will slightly move if I do that. And that's how I erase when I am all finished. Something else you're going to want to consider is how tall your ceiling is when you're thinking about your studio. So unfortunately, these lights really have to come up and over the glass to light me up. Because they can't come through the glass because of glares. So what happens is you need to have tall enough lights but then a tall enough ceiling so that it can accommodate that. Something else you'll notice if you're researching light boards is that there are some light boards that actually have a black background, not a white background. And those light boards have lights in the frame that shine through the glass. Now I want to show you what it looks like when I have raw footage. So you'll notice here now that it looks like my words are now backwards. This is the raw, unedited footage when it comes out. Then I flip the image in post-production, do some color changes, cropping, and end up looking just like this. So when I'm writing, really the raw footage looks like this. However, once we flip it in post-production, now it looks correct. The only other thing I want to make you aware of if you make your own Lightboard video is that you're going to want to make sure that your shirt does not have any words on it. So if it has any kind of words, remember you're going to be flipping this in post-production. It will also flip. I have a couple of videos, if you look on my channel, the very early ones, where I didn't realize this, and I had a shirt that said Phoenix College on it, and it was flipped. Speaking of clothing that you wear, you'll want to make sure that any shirt you wear is not white or even a light color. So you'll always notice that I have bright, vibrant colors in my video, and that's just a contrast against the white background. In post-production, I'm going to lighten that background. So if there's any white really on my shirt, or if I'm wearing a shirt that's a lot white, it's going to conflict with that. So something you want to consider as well. One last thing you want to think about is when you actually go to make your video, what do you want to say? Many people that make videos recommend doing a script, and I think that's a great idea to start out. I think as you get more comfortable behind the camera, a script becomes less useful, but you'll still notice that I keep my little sticky notes on the side of my frame just to remind me of certain things for problems and things like that. I also keep my computer or usually a little cheat sheet down here out of the camera view so you can't see it. So to answer the comments, no, I can't write backwards, especially not that fast. I hope this video inspired you to maybe think about creating your own Lightboard and making your own Lightboard videos.